Hello and welcome back to Traction Gaming here on YouTube. Thank you all very much for joining us. We welcome you to the Sim Race Shop GT3 series on low fuel motorsport. This is the endurance series. The races are 45 minutes long. With a mandatory 25-second pit stop window. Yeah, let's just bring up the HUD, and that'll do us. So yeah, we are starting in 9th position. As you can see, we've got Moses ahead of us, the number 2 Porsche. We got number 9 as well around us. G Moore, O'Hara, Garofalo, Bracken, as we approach the line, and it is green. And off we go here at the Laguna Seca Raceway. Really good start, just following the Aston up on the inside now. The Aston ahead of us there of Riesner, the number 10 Aston. He's moved out wide. All nice and clean and fair through there. A couple running onto the grass, but we are making our way nicely around. Up on the inside, we have got the McLaren there of what looks like O'Hara. No, sorry. It's the Ferrari, I think, there of Moore. It is number 9 Ferrari G Moore. Really difficult track. I'm going to show you. Through the corkscrew we go. Lovely, taken lovely. We'll ride on board for a second as we go for a lap through. We are currently placed in 10th place, so bearing in mind we started in 9th, but we've dropped ourselves back to 10th, taking it probably a little bit cautiously. The car up ahead of us is Garofalo, and he is in the number 17 Ferrari, currently split in 4 tenths behind. As we cross the line, that's still 4 tenths. Behind us we've got Moore and the other Ferraris, so we've got a bit of a sandwich here. Such a lovely track here at Laguna, it really is. Vignoli, by the way, has already got a 2.1 second lead over Schlitter in the Porsche. We've got 5 Porsches in the top 6. So I think it's a bit of a Porsche fest, this race. One of the most difficult corners in sim racing. Up there, that precedes the world famous corkscrew. Talking of which, beautiful corner. So up ahead there is a bit of a concertina effect with Bierman, Riesner, Moses and Garofalo. Because there's Garofalo there. We're going to have a little bit of a look. A bit late on the brakes, and off we go into the gravel trap. So there's a mistake. That's allowed the other Ferrari of Moore through, so that demotes us to 11th position with O'Hara in the McLaren behind us. Now this poses us quite the problem, because it is not the simplest of places to overtake here at Laguna Seca Raceway. It's a very tricky track indeed. So we've got some decisions to make now, as Garofalo and Moore are up ahead. So we've clearly got the pace over Moore and Garofalo. So it's time to drop in and go for that mandatory pit stop. Hit the pit limiter. Make your way to the box. Perfect. Ignition off. Up on the blocks we go. Tyres to be changed. So the thought process behind this is Garofalo, Moore in the two Ferraris are currently running 9th and 10th. They're the target. I'm clearly faster than them. Garofalo's 1.2 seconds behind Moses. 1.2 seconds behind Moses. And Bracken is half a second. So providing I pull off a perfect pit stop, which so far is good, that's okay. Probably lost a half a second there, but we fueled up now to the end. We've got clear track all around us, and it's going to be quali laps now. It's ridiculously important for my race that I use the free air, the clear air, to perform the undercut. For those who are unaware of what the undercut is, it's where you pit in front of your rivals, you put on fresher tyres, and you basically drive faster than they do, so when their pit stop comes around, you have track position on them. And so that's the plan. It's a really difficult track to overtake, and to do it cleanly without losing any time on the cars ahead. So it's all about using that mandatory pit stop to your advantage, not losing any time on the track, which I feel like I was going to do, and just getting out there and putting in some really hard, fast quali laps. So we are currently running in 16th and last position. I'm currently watching the heads-up display on the left of the screen there to see where Moore and Garofalo are now. Garofalo has been overtaken by Krebs LSD, and so has Moore now. So the Porsche of Krebs has jumped into 9th place. Now he's pushed back Moore and Garofalo, which is good for our race. This is really good. We're putting in some really clean driving, some really good laps. So this is very good for us in terms of getting that undercut done. Now if we can undercut Garofalo and Moore, we'll have gained 2 places up to 9th. So as we come to complete our first official, if you like, flying lap, we'll bring up the time in the bottom right hand corner, and it will show us lapping of a 1:24.4, which is a good lap. Now don't get me wrong, Vignoli up in front is probably lapping in the 1:22s, but you know, that's a league I'm not going to try and compete with. So I'm 17 seconds behind M. Stevens in the Honda, the number 11 on Honda. But remember, I believe I'm the only person that has pitted so far. So 17 seconds is nothing. That's we're not racing this guy, but it would be interesting to see our relative pace against Stevens. 17 seconds behind, 17.8 still on the heads-up display. But we are lapping very well. A bit wide there into the final turn. And as we come through across the line at 24.6, so a nice consistent run, which is exactly what we need. We can't do anything more than that. Just keep it nice and consistent. We've moved up to 15th place now as Sherrard 120p in the 15 Ferrari has pitted. So 1 place gain, but remember our fight is with Garofalo, who is now in 9th, Krebs, who is in 8th, and Moore, who has dropped way back into 12th place. So there's something's happened with Moore in the 9 Ferrari. We've just moved over there to allow car number 1 of Vignoli through. That is the race leader, who has just lapped me 7 laps in. But bearing in mind, it's a 124 lap. You have to do a 25 second pit stop. That's a stationary, so you probably lose about 40 seconds. But still, he is flying. As you can see, I've allowed him cleanly past, and yeah, he's already pulling away. So put it this way, if you've come to watch this video to see me win the race, I don't want to spoil it for you, but that isn't the outcome. Again, we've done a 125 dead, so still happy enough with that pace. That's okay. I did that while slowing and allowing the race leader through, so I picked a place that was going to cost me the least amount of time. I am still aiming for 9th place, Garofalo, in the 17 Ferrari. Krebs has actually pulled up to 7th now in the number 3 Porsche. Now, I was ahead of him before I pitted, so that would be a real good relative marker to see where and how the strategy plays out. But we'll see as we make our way around the corkscrew. And look at that, Vignoli is gone. Like, even if I was battling for the lead, in 2 laps, he's nearly... It's probably around 4 seconds up the road already. As we cross the line to resume back on our, should we say, our flying route, we've just done a personal fastest lap of a 124.2, so way back on, and we're now in 13th place. Bierman, we've jumped. Now, Bierman, I believe, was up in, I want to say 8th place in the number 5 Porsche. So that's very interesting. We've got quite the situation going on, because it looks like we're going to be very close to Krebs in the number 3 Porsche, which bodes very well for our main target, which is Garofalo in the 17 Ferrari. That's the target, and he is currently running in P8. So remember, we were in P11 when we boxed. So a three place swing would be incredible. That's the strategy playing out exactly how you want it to. We'll have a look at the helicam now as we come around the last corner and see if we can see any cars in the pit lane. And there isn't at the minute. We just lapped to 124.4, so again, a nice, solid, consistent run. which is, it's all you can ask for. There is a car up ahead of us, that is Mazzocchi in the number 4 Porsche. He is 1.2 seconds up the road from us. Now I believe Mazzocchi was one of the front 5. So I don't. Our race is not going to be with him, but we certainly will indeed carry on pushing, because this race is all about Garofalo, Krebs, and it looks like Reason is going to be in on that as well, the number 10 Aston. So that would be very interesting if that's the case. As we come down the start-finish straight again, the pit lane is still empty, so these guys are really hanging it out in terms of their pit strategy. We're 11 laps into this race. A 1:24.5 there again, so lovely consistent laps, which is all I can ask for really. Mazzocchi, well, see, now I look at that and I realise that I am 15.9 seconds behind Mazzocchi, so that tells me that Mazzocchi hasn't boxed yet. We've got some very fast cars coming up behind us, and it looks very much like it's the Porsche of Schlitter and Van Thiel. Car number 7 and 6. So yeah, it's the 2 Porsches, Schlitter and Van Thielen, so they're not in my race. As you can see, I'm very much on my own in P13 at the minute. I am closing down on Stevens, the car number 11, which is good, but he is still yet to box. So as far as I can see, we've got Moses in the 2 Porsche, Krebs, Reisner, Garofalo, O'Hara, Moore has now retaken a place from O'Hara in the 12 McLarens. So at this stage, I have no clue where I'm going to come out after all the dust is settled. I have no clue. I would love to be ahead of Krebs, LSD, but my target has and always will be Garofalo, which would put me into 8th place. A 1:24.9 on that lap. Partial to the distraction of the guys behind me, the 7 and 6 of Schlitter and Van Thielen. Given the fact that those guys are really close, as you can see in the backdrop of that shot, I don't want to mess that race up, but it sounds very much like one of them has just dropped off. So keep an eye on the backdrop there. And they have indeed. It looks like it could well have been Van Thielen who's dropped off. They must have had a coming together or something, because there is now only one car behind me, and it was Schlitter who had the incident. Now all this is, it's not my race, but I still need to be fully aware of what's going on behind me, because I don't want to get in anybody's way. I don't want to hold anybody up, especially when they're fighting. Now that there's one car, the pressure's off a little, because I know that I'm not going to cause a position change. A 125 dead on that lap, so we are starting to taper off in terms of lap times, of about 0.8 a lap slower than my fastest. We'll see how far Stevens in the Honda, the 11 Honda, is ahead of me. It was, I believe it was 13 seconds. You can see him just down the road there in the front of the shot. He's 15 seconds, so he's lapping at a good speed as well. It's all very much up in the air. I don't know who or where I'm gonna place. Stay tuned, because I ran this race back in week 6 at Laguna. No, I sorry, beg your pardon. This is week 7. So it's this week at Laguna, but I ran this race a couple of days ago, and to be honest with you, I cannot remember where I finished out. So we have target Garofalo in 8th place. So 8th is the target. There is a car in the pit lane. Looks like it was a Honda. So it looks like that was Stevens who's boxed finally. So that should bring us up to 12th position. It was Stevens. So, and we've just done a 124.8, so 892. So we've got a 124.9. So that has brought us back into the 124s, and we've gained a place on Stevens. At this point in the race, I'm genuinely unsure of who hasn't boxed. I know Garofalo hasn't boxed, O'Hara hasn't boxed, Moses hasn't boxed, Moore hasn't boxed, Reisner and Krebs haven't boxed either. So I feel like everybody ahead of me has not boxed yet, so that also does well for me. And we just see there on the graphics, Moses in the 2 Porsche has received a stop and go 30-second penalty. Now generally here at Laguna, that's speeding in the pit lane. There is a car in the pits at the minute as we go past, and that was G Moore in the number 9 Ferrari. So we are ahead of Moore, and we're now up to 11. This is the position we were in prior to the pit stops. Moses, who's ahead of us, Moses, who's ahead of us in position 10, which is him there in the front of the shot, he has a stop-go penalty. So does G Moore. So there are 2 30-second stop-go penalties dished out in that lap. We are position 10, so we are +1 on the strategy. But Garofalo is currently in 3rd position in the 17 Ferrari, and he still is my target. As we watch Moses, I feel like that's not Moses. I feel like that's Sherrod in the 15 Ferrari. We're coming to lap. No cars in the pit lane on this pass. Krebs is ahead though. So Krebs is down in 9th now, so let's see how that pans out for us. We did a 124.6 on that lap. Krebs LSD in the Porsche 3 car. He has pitted, and he is 9 seconds behind Moses in the 2 Porsche. But it looks like on this graphic he is ahead of us on the road, so we did not get Krebs in the undercut. We got Bierman in the 5 Porsche. He is behind us. So now my attention turns to O'Hara, Garofalo, and potentially Riesner, who's currently leading the race in the number 10 Aston. We go a little bit wide there on corkscrew. That's cost us a little bit of time. Oh, there's a car off there. That was Sherrard in the 15 Ferrari, and that was mightily close. A 125 dead on that lap, so still very respectable pace. And we are now up to 8th place. We have pipped Garofalo and O'Hara in the pits, and we are running currently in 8th position. That's fantastic. So that is exactly what we wanted. We were in P11, we boxed early. We are 10 seconds down the road of Krebs, who is 3.6, another 14 seconds, 15 seconds behind Moses, who has a 30-second stop go. So potentially we could be 7 position. We could be P7 when all's said and done. It looks like Riesner has boxed now because he's dropped off the lead. But where does that number 10 Aston fall? Where does that number 10 Aston fall? There's somebody coming out of the pit lane. I can see the back end of a car just coming out the back of the pit lane there. And it looks like he's in front of us, 1.8 seconds. Riesner, 1.8 seconds. Moses has served, or is serving, his stop and go 30, so the 2 Porsche is down. The 5 Porsche of Bierman is also down. And I think that is everybody now who has boxed, and it looks like we have gained 4 positions. From chasing the undercut. The only question mark I have is Mazuki in the 4 Porsche. But I remember there was 5 Porsches in the top 6. And now there's 4, so I'm not going to hold my breath on Mazuki. But I'm also very, very happy that we've managed to pull 4 places with an undercut here at Laguna. And that's, you know what, that is the difference between the endurance racing and the sprint racing. So we've got another video of Paul Ricard, which is a 25-minute sprint race, no pit stops. So it's a straight dart to the flag, and it's great fun, you know, it's a whole bunch of fun. But generally after about 4 or 5 laps, you kind of know what position you're gonna be in, and it's a case there of we've got a slow car up ahead. That looks like it was the Porsche of Moses who's just got out of the way. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's very much a sprint, and once the race settles down, maybe 6-7 laps in, you know who you're roughly racing with, and there's nothing much you can do about it apart from being clinical and smooth and consistent. Whereas the endurance racing, that can throw up a whole different ball game when it comes to strategy. It can really, you can have a plan going into it where you're going to box, you fuel your car for, let's say, 8 laps, and then you're going to fuel it for a further, in this case I think it's a 23 lap race, so you know you're gonna fuel it for a further 15 laps. But you know that can all turn on its head after lap 1. You know, you can make a couple of mistakes like I did, and you fall behind a couple of slower cars, or you think are slower cars, and so you have to react to that. It is absolutely pointless to rock up behind them and then spend 4 laps trying to find a pass on them, because they start defending, which starts slowing you down from everybody else. So you know, you use it to your advantage, you take the pit stop early, and you drive the nuts off your car in the hope that, you know, they all fight amongst each other and you can gain some good ground. And as you can see right now, I'm currently running in 7th position. Garofalo, whose name I've mentioned a whole bunch of time, throughout this video, is 10 seconds behind us at the minute. 10.5 at the last count. So, you know, I was probably about a second behind. No, well, I was right on his rear end when I boxed. So I've gained plus 10 seconds on him through the undercut, and in doing that, I've got Bierman, Moses, Moore. I've gained 4 places, which is exactly what I wanted to do. That was the achievement, or the end goal, should I say, was definitely to undercut Garofalo and Moore as well. The 2 Ferraris were, I felt, slow. I was quicker than. Now at this phase of the race, the tyre wear is starting to kick in a bit. So they're on fresher tyres than me, so they will start coming back at me. You see 9.6 for Garofalo there. My lap times are in the low 125s at the minute, so I'm about a second off of my optimum pace. As we cross the line down, we look to the bottom right of the screen to see, there you go, a 125.5, so 1.3 seconds off my optimum speed. And Garofalo, as he crosses the timing beam, he's 9.3 seconds behind now, so he's gained roughly around about 7/10 on that lap. But it's all going to be in vain, purely because the time left on the clock, which you can't see and I can't either, I've forgotten. But I feel like the race was 23 laps long, which the maths does add up, 1.5 minutes per lap, just under. 45-minute race. The maths does add up for around there. So at this point, I guess I'm not driving also flat out, because it's now 9.3, so the last thing I want to do is miss a braking point, or run wide somewhere, or you know, or have a stupid spin, which undoes all that hard work. So as we cross the line there, a 125.1, so a little bit better in terms of lap speed. And yeah, we're well on our way now, just taking it nice and easy. There's a couple of corners. That one is quick to catch you out if you cut it. This one again, the sausage curb, and if you run wide. it can kill your lap speed. So there definitely is some real tricky corners on this track that can cause you some serious problems. This one, as they call it, the hardest corner in sim racing. It's a blind corner, you just don't know where it is, and obviously the corkscrew can catch you out as well if you get it wrong. But we're all good through there again. And yeah, right now it's all about managing that gap to Garofalo behind. That was always the target. I feel like that's mission accomplished. As we cross the line now, we'll look down to the bottom right again to see what the time was. It was 25.1 last time. It's a 25.3 this time, so good consistent lap times. I mean, Garofalo would need to be lapping in the 120-24s, early 124s, even the late 23s consistently in order to catch me. With the amount of time left to go. At this point in the race, we're really just trying to keep it smooth, keep it clean, make no mistakes, and hope maybe somebody at front gets a couple of track warnings or, you know, a stop-go penalty, makes a mistake and spins out. We've just done a 25.2 there again, so you know, we're well within the realms of consistently fast. Garofalo is on a bit of a charge. He's now 8.6 seconds behind me, and it doesn't look like he's under any pressure from Bierman and the 5 Porsche. Bierman's 9.3 behind Garofalo, so, and we're 15 behind Riesner. So even though I would have really liked to have got ahead of Riesner, when he came out the pits, we were 1.4 behind him. Quite clearly, that was unrealistic in terms of longevity because, I mean, the guys pulled like 11 seconds on me. Oh, got a bit deep into the corkscrew there. They're the little mistakes that we really want to try and avoid. 7.7 is the gap now, so, and we've just moved over to allow the race leader through. So that is me officially being lapped. So after 26 laps of racing, Vignoli has caught and passed me. So that goes to show you his speed, you know. But what that has done is that's brought Garofalo a little bit closer than I would have liked. That's 5.5 seconds now. So it was at one stage, it was 9. So he's pulled 4 seconds on me in the last few laps. Now, granted, a couple of those seconds would have been me allowing the race leader through. But he is on a charge right now, and rightly so. You know, he's probably seeing those times as well and thinking, I have a chance here of beating this guy. And it's very easy to think, oh well, you know, maybe he did, he clocked me going into the pits, and he knows that I've undercut him, so you know, there's a bit of a vendetta there. There's a bit of a rivalry. But it's 4.8 seconds now, so you know that 10-second gap was massive. But as the race leader crosses the line, we've clearly fallen back from him. So again, his pace is unreal. Like, that's seriously fast. We're still lapping in the 125.2s, so we're not going any slower. Garofalo's time on the left-hand side there has actually jumped to 6.4. So from 4.8 to 6.4, he has had a moment. And Bierman, who was 9 seconds behind him, is 5. So there's definitely some movement going on behind. Right now, I'm just trying to get my head down and really just trying to keep it clean and keep it on the track, because a 6.5 second gap is not that big. You know, when you consider the risk around here of spinning, making a mistake, you know, running wide. If you clip that sausage curb on the left hand side, it spins you off. If you run too wide there, the rear end snaps over from you. Same here. I mean, the risk around here is unreal. But as I look back now on the left hand side, I notice that the guy behind me is now Bierman in the 5 Porsche, and he is 12 seconds behind me, and Garofalo has dropped a half second behind Bierman. So something's happened to Garofalo, who maybe he was pushing too hard, and you know, he's made those simple mistakes that I was talking about. Bierman has capitalised on that, and if I quickly do the math, 6 and 5 was 11, so it looks very much like, yes, Bierman hasn't caught me so much as Garofalo has made a mistake there. So I'll keep an eye on them timing screens. But as far as our race has gone, you know, I'll sum it up as it's played out perfectly based on the mistake I made where I ran up the inside of Garofalo, ran wide, lost the position to Garofalo and more just here on the last turn, and made the decision to box that following lap and go for the undercut. And that decision has played out perfectly for me and has maintained an all-round great race. I mean, I'm running in 7th place, 4 places higher than I was. If you include the position that I lost, so I was in 10th and I was going for 9th on the last corner, and then I made the mistake and I lost to 10th to 11th. You know, I've still had a net gain of 4 places from doing that. So I guess at this point I'm reflecting a little bit on how well I've performed consistently. My lap times have been, bar a couple where I've moved out the way of the race leader, I've been consistently 24s, mid-24s, early 25s. And you can't ask for much better than that in sim racing. You know, you're never going to go into every race with the chance of winning it. You're never going to be perfect. You know, there's only a very few that can go out there and be as good as, let's say, Vignoli in the number 1 Honda. You know, that guy's number 1 for a reason. He's incredibly talented, has probably put a lot more hours in around here than I have, Because let me tell you, I have not raced around Laguna a lot. I have not, and it's a great fun track to race around. And I do feel like I take the small gain from this, that I've been consistent. Yes, I've made a mistake, but I've capitalised on my mistake with a quick thinking undercut. I feel like I've thoroughly deserved my current position of 7th place. I've let other people make mistakes around me. I've kept out of any drama. Bierman is closing in on me in the 5 Porsche. It was 11 seconds, it's now 7.5. But, you know, going back to my previous point, if you can be clean, if you can be smooth and consistent, you've got a very good chance of some strong finishes. Because let me tell you, people will make mistakes around you. People will fight tooth and nail, lunge for a silly gap, take you out. And for me, when you've got mandatory pit stops, if you don't know the people you're racing with, which on low fuel motorsport, there's a high chance you won't know the people that you're racing with. You haven't got time to sit and race somebody for 20 minutes before thinking, okay, I know I can safely make a pass on this guy. So you use the mandatory pit stop to your advantage. If you feel in that first lap that you are quicker and there's a chance you can make the pass, go for it, you know? As you can see now by the flares going off that the race leader has finished, so this is the last lap. As we come round the final corner and we make our way to the line, we've got 2 laps to spare in fuel, and we cross the line and it's a 7th place finish. Very, very happy with that. Very happy with that. A 25.8 to finish. An all-round great race. Thank you everybody for spending the time with me today. If you've enjoyed the video and you've enjoyed the content, then please do hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, bye for now. Bye.